prayer. So if we'd all like to stand. And thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Right, good afternoon, everyone. First item on the agenda, apologies.
Excuse me, who was the group from? Who were they representing?
Two.
The Baha'i faith.
Thank you.
Okay. Apologies.
Apologies for lateness for Councillor McPherson. Should be about 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll move that. Seconded by Councillor Wilson.
Your Worship,
Yes.
I have a meeting at the DHB and we'll have to leave at 1:45.
Right, okay, thank you.
I will be back
Okay.
about an hour later.
All right, thank you. So I'll move the apology for lateness and Councillor Wilson has seconded that. All those in favour? Any against? Carried. Confirmation of the agenda. So councillors, just a couple of items, as you know, inserted as a 5A are the two late items, which are the resolutions coming forward from the Strategy and Policy Committee and the Finance Committee. So people should have received those, and we'll take those after the council minutes, so as a 5A, and also after the public forum we will have a verbal update in relation to the sale of the pensioner housing. So with those additions, I'll move the agenda.
Could I inquire as to why these items have been brought forward, what the urgency is? It's outside of our standing orders.
So firstly, it was requested at the Strategy and Policy Committee that those minutes be brought forward, so we've done our best to achieve that. The Finance Committee was my direction to the Democracy team to ensure that we turn the minutes of the various resolutions around in time, but in a timely manner. So I asked the committee to do that, the Democracy to do that.
I mean, this is not... Is there an urgency for this to be there?
So basically, from my point of view, I'm trying to get to a position where we bring back the subcommittee minutes on the most timely cycle back to the council for decision, and this is our first attempt, and I'm going to work with Jude and debrief following it to see if it worked effectively. But it's, I believe, good democracy to basically resolve those minutes as quickly as possible.
So are you, I'm not going to stop this today, but are you saying this is going to be the norm? That
I'm
tracking
working with
every
Jude to
meeting?
see whether it is the norm, following today and following the amount of effort
Well,
that...
how can it be the norm when we haven't got the time, the prescribed time between the meetings and next meeting? It's got to be 2 full working days.
Yep. The Finance Committee, we aim to actually have them out 2 full working days prior to this meeting, and it's, like I said, we're working with democracy to see whether or not we can achieve that going forward. And like I said, I'm going to debrief with Jude and determine whether or not it's something we can do going ahead. But it may not work, and so we just wanted to give it a shot, to be fair, councillors, so I just asked for your leave to see if it works.
Well, I'll let this go today, but this is not good process.
Yeah, and I think
There is no urgency, there is no reason to rush these through.
I'll take on
I
board
just
that.
think from now on, there needs to be a good reason.
Yep, and I'm going to take on board the feedback around the 2 days, and we will still try and get the subcommittee minutes out as soon as possible to the council meeting, but we'll ensure that going forward we achieve the 2-day deadline as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so with those additions, I've moved the agenda, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Does anyone want to speak then, for or against that? No, so I'll put that on the voices. All those in favour? Any against? Okay, thank you. Declarations of interest?
Yes, and I'll be leaving during the public excluded.
Okay, thank you. Any others? All right, thank you. Okay, public forum, councillors. We have one speaker in the public forum, I think. Hi Bruce, how are you? Come on down, thank you. Welcome along.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Kia ora tātou, Your Worship, elected members. It's my pleasure to speak today very briefly. I just wanted to make 3 points in relation to Waiwhakariki. I believe it's a very significant and important project which is leading edge, not just nationally, but internationally. It will provide us with the range of multiple values that any good green space will bring, but it is unique in that it attempts to reconstruct the nature that was once common both within the city boundary and in the peri-urban zone around our city before humans arrived in Aotearoa, New Zealand. The project will provide mitigation for biodiversity loss, mitigation for climate change through sequestering carbon in the plants that will be planted in the additional 5.1 hectares. It will provide connection and reconnection of people with the environment and nature. It will be an amazing educational and tourist resort, tourism attraction, and it will, above all, provide some cohesion amongst society and culture here in Hamilton City. I really want to give my sincere thanks to all of the councillors who voted to protect that 5.1 hectares at the Finance Committee meeting. I also wanted to thank the originator, if you like, of the idea as a Millennium Project, David Rawlins, and the partners of the project, Tui 2000, Ngā Mana Tupu o Kirikiri Roa, of course the University of Waikato, and all of the work that the Hamilton City Council has done to date. If I've forgotten anybody today, please don't take that the wrong way. I knew that as soon as I started to mention names, I would forget somebody. So I just particularly wanted to thank the councillors for their efforts at Finance Committee. I believe that you will be seeing the dividends of this project for many, many years to come. So looking to the future then, with stewardship and kaitiakitanga comes responsibility. And when I say we, I mean the partners and all of the volunteers here with me today, recognise what our responsibilities are. We know that we need to do more work out there and that we will need to redouble our efforts, particularly in relation to that new piece of land. And we also know that in the last 5 years we have contributed significantly at the rate approximately of $200,000 a year for the last 5 years, but we're going to have to contribute more. We are prepared to shoulder the responsibility to work together and to work with you, councillors and council, to make sure that this project truly is an amazing success. So it will, without doubt, be the jewel in the crown for making Hamilton City sustainable, and I hope to see you all there at Arbor Day in June. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just if there are any questions, I'll just check. No? Thank you. Thank you very much, Bruce. There are no other speakers in the public forum, so councillors will now take the verbal report from Blair in relation to the sale of the pensioner housing, and we also have the Chief Executive from Accessible Properties here, Andrew Wilson, who will join Blair. Okay, thanks, Blair.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, councillors. Just very briefly, just want to give you an overview of the transition process following the council decision on the 10th of December to sell the pension housing portfolio to Accessible Properties. I can certainly report that the process has been progressing extremely smoothly and efficiently, and that we have developed a detailed transition program, involved a number of subject matter experts across the council and with Andrew's team, and the relationship between the two parties has been excellent, and we've certainly struck no issues as we've progressed through all the various detailed matters. If I just quickly turn to some of those matters, from a legal perspective, all the property encumbrances have been prepared and registered on the title. The mortgages are set to be put in place on settlement on the 7th of March, when the balance of the deposit is paid. From an operational perspective, one of our staff members, Linda Kelm-Handley, who is the tenancy officer, has been employed by Accessible Properties and commences with their team upon the date of transfer. So that's a fantastic outcome for the tenants. Linda has a great relationship with all the tenants. Accessible have an office. They've secured an office in Knox Street in Hamilton, and they'll be based from the commencement date. Pleasingly, our grounds maintenance contract, which was obviously undertaken by our City Parks team, Accessible Properties have just in the last couple of days agreed to contract our City Parks team to continue that work under the Accessible Properties ownership. So that's again continuity of service for the tenants in terms of knowing who the people are who are doing the work around the properties they live in. All the information related to waiting lists, tenancy management files, detailed information such as the other contractors we use has all been passed across to Accessible Properties, and all signage that HCC has on the properties will be removed just prior to settlement. So the properties will be clearly no longer branded HCC, they'll be across to Accessible. From a communications perspective, just in front of you on the table there, I've just included a copy of the Tenants Guide and the latest newsletter from Accessible Properties, and you'll see that the Hamilton transactions included in that newsletter. The tenants have all been given a copy of that. There's been extensive correspondence between Council, Accessible Properties and the tenants. And on the 7th and 8th of March, Andrew and his team will be personally visiting every site to speak to the tenants throughout those 2 days in terms of just, again, a more detailed transitional welcome process. And finally, a joint media release will go out on the 7th of March just to confirm the settlement. So, Your Worship, Councillors, that's just a very brief overview. I think Andrew would also like to just
thank you, Andrew.
his perspective.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think Blair's covered it really well, actually. Just a couple of things to add. The first is that we had a meeting with our chair and myself met with the Mayor on the 9th of February, and one of the things we did discuss, which I think came up as an issue when we were talking about this transition at the last council meeting, is we're intending to set up a Hamilton Social Housing Advisory Group to guide our operations going forward in the next few years, and include on that representatives of a wide cross-section of interest who've got an interest in social housing and what we're doing in terms of the provision. The other thing we're doing is, and you're probably well aware of this, there's a Hamilton social housing strategy that's in process. There's a workshop on that on the 2nd of March, and our intent is to obviously be part of that and to help guide direction for that also. With the, when we go and meet with all our tenants on the 7th and 8th of March, obviously the purpose of that is really to welcome them. We've done that in writing a couple of times, but you can't be doing it face to face. So the idea is to go to each of those sites, provide a meeting point, introduce ourselves, tell our tenants about who we are, what we plan to do with the social housing portfolio, and ask for their feedback about any key issues or invite any questions. I think that's a really important part of the transition process. Blair's just circulated the newsletter and tenants guide. That's gone to all of our tenants just at the beginning of this month. And we've also provided them with a previous copy of the newsletter so that they've got a sense of just who we are and the nature of how we operate. So I'll just take any questions.
Okay, right, so are there any questions for either Blair or Andrew on that? Right. Sorry, Dave, did you? No?
I would like to speak, though.
Right, no questions? All right. Thank you very much for the update. So, Dave, did you have some comments you wanted to make?
Yes, I do. I particularly want to refer to the General Manager's comment that this is a fantastic day. I don't think it's a fantastic day at all. And there was division around council, and I think council staff and Accessible Properties should recognise that. And this is not directed against Accessible Properties, who in their own rights are a very good operator from what I'm aware, and have every right, should we give the opportunity, to purchase these houses, and they have taken that opportunity, which we did, a majority of council did give them. But I think it's a sad day for the city that we have now become the first city in New Zealand that doesn't own any pensioner housing and cannot directly influence policy in that area in its own community anymore. I think that's a very sad day for this city and actually for the country too.
Okay. Right, I'm not intending to debate this, so Councillor Gallagher, I'll allow you to make some comments, but that'll be it. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll be brief, and I mean no personal discourtesy. I certainly echo every word that Councillor McPherson has said personally. However, I do look forward to, I have to accept there was a majority vote of this council. I'm a minority, but I want to look at a very positive relationship with the organisation moving forward. I'm going to be really interested in the governance and getting some Waikato people there, but most importantly, the partnership, in my view, hopefully, and I acknowledge some of the new builds you've done, right? So that, obviously what we do need to do is grow social housing. I certainly see you, as we're going to be doing a review of social housing of this council, right? And obviously you're going to be a very key component in all of that in terms of strategy. We have an ageing, as we all know, population. We have significant needs moving forward, and I'm hoping for a good constructive interaction.
Okay. All right, thanks very much for providing that update. Very good. Thank you, Andrew, for coming on. Okay, next item, item 5, council minutes, page 5. So these are the open council meeting minutes for the 10th of December and the 15th of December. So I will move those. Seconded by whom? I'm looking. Councillor Wilson. Was there any discussion on those?
Yep.
Yes, Councillor King. Page, just tell us where you are.
Yeah, I was just asking.
So on page 9, Councillor Pascoe and Deputy Mayor Chesterman put a motion to attempt to sell the pensioner houses for 17 million to Habitat. Then on page 12, an amendment was put to sell the pensioner housing to Accessible for $23.5 million. Then on page 13, those who voted for the higher price from Accessible were King, Gallagher, Green, Wilson, Mallett, Tooman and McPherson. And those who voted against the higher offer were Mayor Hardacre, Councillors Forsyth, Pascoe, Chesterman and O'Leary. And then on the bottom of page 13, the amendment to sell for $3 million plus more became the substantive motion. Then on page 14, where does it actually say who voted which way? On
Right,
substantive
so
motion.
the question is just where, did you get all that?
Yes, I followed that. I remember it well, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
On the bottom of page 15, Councillor King, you will note that Councillors Gallagher and McPherson were dissenting. And when one councillor or two are dissenting to a motion, then rather than put everybody's name down, we put the one councillor or the two councillors that were dissenting. So the rest of the members that were present and voting voted for this resolution, and councillors Gallagher and McPherson were dissenting, so they voted against the resolution.
Okay, so that's recorded on page 15.
Correct.
All right, any other questions?
Just
Yes.
on that, why do we use that particular way of doing it? Why don't we just keep putting everyone's name down? I mean, obviously, if you want clarity, you would have those before it, those are against it. When you just do that, there is some debate about who the other people are and were they present or not.
That's been practiced since I've been here, councillor. If one councillor's dissenting, then that's normally what
two.
democracy records, yes.
One or two.
Yes.
Can
Correct.
we change that and just make it simple?
We can change anything, councillor.
I mean, there's no law or anything there.
No,
Just
no, no.
seems-
A formatting style issue.
Okay, it just seems an unusual convention that you change it just for that.
We'll
No,
take,
no, nothing's been changed. This is just the way it's always been done, but if
Well, all the way through,
councillors,
you would get...
if it's not clear for the councillors how the minutes, if they can't understand the minutes or want clarity on the minutes, then it's a formatting issue, we can change it. Yeah, yeah. All right, okay, so I'm going to put, so we've moved the minutes and seconded by councillor Wilson. All right, so I'll just put those on the voices. All those in favour? Any against? You're against the minutes being a true and correct record? Councillor McPherson?
No, I'm just against the minutes.
Yes. Yes, okay. All right, next item.
Excuse me, just on that, we were just voting on the accuracy of the minutes, not whether you agree with what was done, is that right?
That's right, we are
Okay.
voting that the minutes were an accurate record of the meeting. Yes, correct. Okay,
You don't think you
They shouldn't have been right.
so the next item, councillors, is the items in relation to the recommendations from the Finance Committee.
Did we have
and
two sets of
strategy and
minutes there,
policy.
Your Worship? There were two sets.
Yes, I moved both of them
Oh, you
together.
moved both, okay.
Yeah.
So were they both right?
I couldn't catch
All right, so we're all up
Yep,
where
okay.
we are up to now? We're all on the same page? Good to know. Okay, so we're now moving to the recommendations from the Finance Committee and the Strategy and Policy Committee.
I'll move.
So the Chair of Finance, I will go to you. Sorry, councillor Wilson. I know in the essence of expediency you were attempting to be helpful, but
I'll second. That helps, councillor.
councillor Pascoe is moving. And can I suggest you take them separate?
Yeah, I will, thank you.
Councillor Pascoe?
Excuse me, Your Worship, what page are these? I don't...
No, these are the additional circulated report that we
Are they-
referred to at the beginning of
Okay,
the
they're not
meeting.
on the slides.
So these were circulated to councillors a couple of days ago.
They were, correct.
Everyone got them?
Okay.
Right. Are we good to go?
Okay, well,
So just wait, councillor
want me
Pascoe. We're
to
just
read?
making sure that everyone's got the pieces of paper. Okay. All right, councillor Pascoe, we're to you, and I
Right.
suggest you take them separately.
thank you, Your Worship. There are two recommendations from the Finance Committee meeting held last Thursday, the 18th of February 2016. And I'll take the first one, which is the asset analysis around Whaiwhakariki land. And I would report that the Finance Committee members voted, and I remind Councillor McPherson and Councillor Gallagher, voted by majority to support the following recommendation, and that is that the council declares the smart subdivision, and I won't read all the legal details there, to be reserved and included within the Whaiwhakariki Natural Heritage Park. So I'm happy to move that recommendation
Thank
I
you.
from
second.
the Finance Committee.
Sorry, councillor
All
Wilson
right.
is seconding that. Sorry, councillor Gallagher. Sorry, he jumped in there
Nice
before
try.
you. All right, so that's been moved and seconded. Councillors, unless there's anyone wishes to debate that, we'll put that to the meeting. We might go to the board. Thanks, Jude, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to talk, please.
Yes, that's what I was asking, if any councillors do. Right, off you go, councillor King.
Firstly, I'd like to commend Councillor Martin Gallagher, Councillor Dave McPherson Councillor Ewan Wilson, and I think the other one was Philip Yong, who've been consistent during this voting process. You wanted to join this 5.1 hectares in with the bigger Waiwhakariki reserve 3 years ago when council started, and I think everyone else in this room voted to sell it. So well done, guys. You're consistent with your voting and you're consistent with your beliefs. There's another group in this room who have, for possibly because they've seen the light or possibly because it's election year, crossed the floor and have voted to bring this land in with Waiwhakariki. I think of them as the swinging voter or the voter who's out to get the approval to get the vote for next time around. Interestingly...
Point of order, Chair. I think that Councillor King is suggesting that we all have at all times a predetermined view on everything, and that is not correct, and that is contrary to our statutory obligations under the Local Government Act, that we should not at all times carry forward with this predetermined view.
Right, so 3.13.7, which portion of the points of order are you raising?
All of the above.
Because if we're going to do this, then you're going to have to point to me which subsection
Sorry, can you just give me the section again, please?
You should know that like you say.
3.13.7, types of points of order, which one?
Causing embarrassment to a councillor?
No, that's not a point.
It's not a
Clearly
point
you
of order.
haven't got your standing orders open, Councillor Mallett.
I made that one up.
Yeah, thank you. How unhelpful.
3.13.7 C, misrepresentation of any statement.
Okay, well, I have to say, Councillor Pascoe, there's nothing that I heard in what Councillor King was saying that, in my view, meets that point of order. He's entitled to express an opinion, but I suppose the comment I would make, Councillor King, is sometimes you can draw a long bow between what's happened and how you might articulate that, and you might want to think about that as you continue. Thank you.
Nice try, Rob. Interestingly, it's a similar group of people who who put up the motion to sell the pensioner houses for $3 million plus lower than the offer we accepted from Accessible. And that group who put that motion up and voted down against the amendment to accept the higher offer of $3 million plus in real money was Mayor Julie Hardacre, Councillor Margaret Forsyth, Councillor Rob Pascoe, Deputy Mayor Chesterman and Councillor Angela O'Leary. I find this behaviour on that matter just outright wrong.
Point of order, Your Worship.
What's your point of order?
The type of point of order is the discussion of the matter. Councillor King's comments about the matter at hand, or is it about another matter, about the way councillors vote?
What point?
Discussion of the matter, not
Yeah,
before.
point A. Discussion of the matter, not
Yeah,
for council or committee. I don't think it's about the way that councillors choose to vote. I thought the topic of discussion this morning was about accepting the finance committees.
Yeah, so Councillor King, I do think that Councillor Forsyth's got a point. One of the things that's really valuable in debate is to focus on what the substantive issue is, rather than debating or playing the man, as they say. So why don't you focus your debate on the substantive issue, and that issue is the sale of land or not, and whether it goes into the reserve at Waiwhakariki. So can you confine your debate to those?
So I'll wrap this up by congratulating Councillor Martin Gallagher, Philip Yong, Ewan Wilson and Dave McPherson. You've stayed in here strong, you've seen us through, you've got the result.
Point of order. I never changed my vote. How about I get bloody some credit for that?
So Councillor Mallett, come on guys. I mean, look, at the end of the day, let's just stop for a moment. We've got a whole bunch of people here who I can see are thinking, gosh, right? Look at them all nodding. I came along today to make sure that the thing that I was passionate about got across the line, right? That's what you're here for. So why don't you just respond to the public's wish about how we behave and actually do that? And cut out the conversation and talk.
Point of order.
And jokes. No, there's no point of order on what I'm saying, and I'm
There is a
entitled.
point of order on what you're saying.
I'm sorry, Councillor
And point of
King.
order takes precedent even over the chair.
Councillor King, I am making a comment just about the way we conduct ourselves and looking at the audience that has taken the time out of their day to come and listen to what we've got to say.
Madam Chair, I'm passionate about what I'm saying as well.
Good. Right.
So would you allow me to finish?
Yes, I've finished
interrupting me?
speaking now, Councillor King, so you can continue your debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So where I got to is, well done, guys, and I'd like to congratulate you people who are passionate about what you believe. You've come in here, you've stayed firm, you've hung in here for years waiting for this, and I'd just like to say well done. I'm not voting for this. It's not where I've gone, and I'll be consistent with my voting. But I just want to congratulate you all. It's a great outcome for the city and great outcome for you. So well done.
Thank you, Councillor King. Councillor O'Leary, I have you next.
Thank you, Worship. Look, it is a good day, and I do find it a little disturbing that Councillor King suggests elected members shouldn't have an open mind when they sit around this table and in this chamber at any point. I find that quite disturbing. For all the reasons that I spoke to retaining this land and putting it back into Waiwhakariki the other day, I'm not going to repeat myself, but it is a good day, and these people behind us do deserve to celebrate today. And it is today, I think it's about the destination. It's not about the journey. It's not how we got here. But actually, I enjoy the debate and I enjoy the differing views. And I thank the elected members around the table that always bring an open mind. Consistency, well, Councillor King, you voted to add $20 million to the debt yesterday, which is inconsistent with everything you've said in this chamber prior. So perhaps you'd like to reflect on that. But well done. Crack open the champagne, because you seriously deserve it, you really do. And one of my hopes before the end of this term, before the end of elections this year is, along with Her Worship the Mayor and Councillors Young and Councillor Gallagher, we've been on hold with the zoo plan, and some of you would know, and Bruce Clarkson was in that working group, how important Waiwhakariki is to the zoo plan. And for obvious reasons, as you'll all know, that zoo plan has been on hold. But it is certainly something that is dear to my heart, and I want to see through this year and before I finish out my term. And I hope that you'll be happy with that plan and its connections and its relationship to the park. So well done, everyone.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes, as someone who's consistently supported Waiwhakariki from the start, first in the smart subdivision guys that others also supported, and later in the amalgamation of the park, I want to say that I'm disturbed by the way some councillors here continue to interrupt councillors that they don't agree with by bringing in points of order. And I just note with irony, and I notice your worship that you've said people want us to get on with the debate. Well, in actual fact, Councillor King, whom I don't agree with on this subject, was interrupted 3 times once or twice on the grounds of irrelevancy or alleged irrelevancy, when Councillor O'Leary also played the man, using your terms, no one said a word. They let her speak, as they should have. And I think that there's a bit of double standard happening here. I don't like the way any of these debates go, especially when Councillor King gets up to speak and happens to say things that people take objection to. They don't listen out, they try and interrupt him. And that is the problem around here. And I think from the chair, you could do better at being consistent in your approach to speakers. Now, getting back onto Waiwhakariki, I think that this is a great day for council. It should have happened 3 years ago after the last council voted to bring this into reserve. It's disappointing to me that the community has had to fight a rearguard action, as I said last meeting, to preserve what they thought they'd won in 2012. But good on them for doing that. And I've been thanked since then by a number of members of the community for my support. The only reason that I've been able to support it consistently is because the community has been out there consistently working for it, and I've had someone to come in behind. If councillors were trying to do this by themselves, it wouldn't work, but it does work because the community's heavily involved and we're backing them. And that's the important partnership in this, along with the environment itself. Thanks.
Okay, any other speakers? Right, councillors, we're going to the board on voting on this resolution.
It's carried 10 votes for and 2 against.
The second recommendation from the Finance Committee meeting of last Thursday is in regard to the legal services contract, and I'm happy to move that recommendation.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Councillor Young? Right, any debate on this? No, we'll go to the board, thanks.
I'm doing my best.
Okay,
Carried unanimously.
thank you. Councillor O'Leary, your recommendations are next. Okay.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just one recommendation to put forward to Council from Strategy and Policy Committee, and that is the item on trade waste and wastewater bylaw for public engagement, and that's just noting that Councillor Tooman will be delegated to receive spoken submissions on that bylaw for that open day, so we thank Councillor Tooman. So I'll move that.
Who's seconding this? Councillor McPherson is. Any debate on this? Okay, we'll go to the board, thanks.
Ewan.
Carried unanimously.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item is item 6, page 28. This is a report on the cemeteries management plan. Thank you, Sally and Lance. Welcome along. Councillors, I think the report is self-explanatory. And the previous resolution is set out, so I think we'll go.
Your Worship, could I just suggest that another recommendation be put there that the Hamilton Gardens Cemetery Management Plan 2015 be adopted?
Hamilton Gardens.
Oh, sorry, Hamilton Cemeteries Management Plan.
Heavens.
You're raising the dead.
You have to excuse the General Manager as you for it.
We've already approved that 2 years ago.
Right, so questions, councillors? Councillor O'Leary?
I have a very far left question. Is it common practice that when someone is uses or purchases a cremation plot in the wall, that
burial wall, yeah.
in the burial wall, that we can't? Is it common practice not to take all of the ashes of that person?
I'll ask Michelle, our cemeteries manager, to answer that.
Sorry, I can't hear, could you, I just can't hear what you're saying.
So our granite ash interment walls will take all of the person's ashes, but sometimes families may choose to keep some back to scatter or do something else with the ashes.
So because I have had a couple of, just recently, a couple of people just out in the community talking to me about this, and they were under the impression that we couldn't take all the ashes, and I thought that would be very odd.
The original walls built out at Hamilton Park Cemetery many, many years ago, these are the brick ones, I'm not sure how old they are. Those first walls did not take all the ashes, but those walls now, I understand, have all been, interments have been completed, but they are very old, those walls. They're one of the first.
Okay, so but the new walls can take.
Yes, have for a number of years.
Okay,
yes.
great, thank you. That's all, thank you.
Right, other questions on this? I have some questions in relation to. I'm trying to find. I think it's page 38, which is page 9 of the plan. It's in relation to the fees and charges. So I was just interested to see a sort of a paragraph, the bottom paragraph on the left there, fees and charges are currently set. I was interested to see the inclusion of that paragraph or some aspects of it in a plan like this, in terms of fees and charges and our position about recovery on, the actual costs of running the cemetery. Because the council sets the position, and we currently have the position that it is cost recovery, right? Mm-hmm. And what you seem to be raising there is an issue about that may change in the future?
Yes. So one of the actions is to look at the long-term financial sustainability of the cemetery, which includes reference to the maintenance and perpetuity fund.
I read that, and that's on page 43, councillors. Yes. So I just wanted to ensure that it was clear that this council sets the threshold, if you like, and the current policy position is cost recovery.
Yes, it is, yes.
Yes, and this plan has been constructed on that basis?
Yes, it has been.
And I am not aware of this council signalling that they wanted to review that, but if they adopt this plan with that action in it, you will review that?
Yes, it is one of the actions, yes.
I just wanted to make sure people were aware of that. Okay, Councillor Mallett?
That just raises the question of what cost recovery means, because there's the immediate cost of the unit of the service, but then there are ongoing costs of maintaining the facility, whether there's one plot in there or 500 or 800 or whatever. There will be a time where that one-off fee that has been charged will no longer be sufficient to maintain the ongoing cost. So there will be. Is there any subsidy from the council at the moment?
In terms of the operating costs, no, there isn't. So the cemetery operates at the revenue it receives each year is balanced by the expenditure that it uses. And that is one of the questions that has been raised through the feedback, is that going forward, when revenue is not coming in as it is currently, how do we maintain the cemetery going forward? So that's why this has been included as an action, to look at those options going forward.
Yeah. Because even if people aren't coming in, there are still lawns to mow and buildings to maintain and carry on.
Yes, that's right. All right, if there's no other questions, do I have a mover?
I'll second.
Okay, so sorry, Councillor Toomey I think is moving, Councillor O'Leary is seconding that, and that is the report we received, and that the plan be adopted. Okay, is there any debate on that? No, we'll go to the board, thanks.
Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Right, the next item on the agenda is item 7, page 56. This is an update on the work of the Development Contributions Working Group. Again, I think the report is very self-explanatory. So are there any questions for Blair on this?
I'll move.
I'll second it. No questions? It's pretty clear where it's at. It's a work in progress. Yep. Okay, so we'll go to the board to vote to receive this report.
Beautiful. Not a word was spoken.
Rob just said it was a very cool group.
It is.
It's got my vote.
It's riveting. It's riveting stuff, isn't it, Gary?
Carried unanimously.
Astonishing, yeah.
As long as it's cool.
All right, councillors, that's the end of the open agenda. So we are now moving into the public excluded. So I will move that we go into public excluded. Seconded by councillor Pascoe. All those in favour? Any against? Yes.